Watch out, here I come.
Welcome to the lunch hour with Mr. Credit.
Ooh, hot. Oh, yeah, that's hot. That is hot.
And today, it's Turnaround Tuesdays.
Let the games begin! Hi-yo!
And today, we're teaching you how to point your financial life in the right direction.
Gee, I sure hope there's a happy ending. I love a happy ending.
And now, the lunch hour with Mr. Credit on ESPN Radio 1700.
Welcome to another edition of your lunch hour, Mr. Credit Lunch Hour, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else. My name is Dan Osgood. I'm sitting in for Mr. Credit himself. Joining me in studio today, it looks like we're going to have a great show. We've got a couple guests, one who is here with me on most days, Jarod Cauzza with Neil Dimott downtown, estate planning 2-hour star, Mr. Credit. How are you today, Jarod?
Doing well, sir. How are you?
Doing great. Enjoying the weather?
Kind of. It's a little muggy out there. I don't like that so much, but hey.
It's tropical San Diego now.
Yeah, I could do without some bad tropics.
Yes, I agree. And then sitting to my right, Jarod's left, we have Chris Megison, who is the founder of Solutions for Change. Welcome, Chris. Glad you could join us.
Thank you, Dan. It's good to be here.
It's nice to have you here. We're going to talk in detail with Chris today and learn about the cause he stands behind, which is a solution to really permanently solve family homelessness. And it's great work Chris is doing. But we'll jump right in. Looks like the market's down a little bit today, which is rare. But still, it's very close to its all-time highs, as usual. The big news today in the market, just hot off the presses, Apple has just released the iWatch. It's only something that's been in store for at least 2 years. They've been talking about it and rumoring it, but it was released just...
What does it do?
I don't know that they're getting into too many details on that, but we were just talking before the show. It better do something that's really wow.
You're right.
Because there's been enough other smartwatches released that are just ho-hum, where it's just a very small version of a cell phone that you get notified that you have a message, that then you have to go find your cell phone to really read the message because it's a small screen. So
it's a digital watch.
It appears to, but I've heard, and this is all rumor, I have not seen the official press release, that it's going to tie like the Fitbit type concepts where it'll monitor your fitness activity.
Oh my gosh,
it'll maybe help monitor diets. I don't know. Like I said, it better be wow, or this is going to be a ho-hum, and it's not going to look so good for Tim Cook as the man pulling the strings.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll have to watch that one.
And another thing, which I've always thought was a small flaw in Apple's business model, which clearly I'm not as smart as these guys because they're quite successful at this point, but in order to make this watch work, you must have a Series 5 or 6 iPhone, which they also just released the iPhone 6. So again, they're forcing you, in order to play with the new toys, to buy newer toys than you might already have. So how appealing is that?
I guess it really depends on your financial situation.
Right? Yeah. Do you want to drop $500 or $600 for a phone so you can get a $300 watch?
Yeah, exactly right. Depends what you use it for and whatnot. If you're just trying to do it to be part of the trendy fad, probably not a good investment, but who knows?
Right. So, Chris, you going to run right out and get the iWatch?
Yeah, I think I'll pass. I'm a Droid guy.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
As am I. Well, with that, and we touched on all-time highs. There's a story I've seen, and I've been aware of this for quite a few years. The most epic all-time high still has not even happened yet. And people look around because you always hear the S&P 500 every day seems to be closing in an all-time high. The Dow's been over 17,000 for quite a while, which is all-time highs. But no one has said much about the NASDAQ Composite Index, which this is the high-flying tech stocks and all your smaller companies. It hasn't hit its all-time high. If we go back to March 10th, I believe it was, of 2000, that was the absolute peak of the NASDAQ index. That was 5,132. Today, it's currently at 4,563. So we're looking at going on 15 years now and it has not gotten back to where it was at its high. And the main reason I'm bringing this up is we always talk about Warren Buffett and some of his rules.
Mm-hmm.
Rule number one, best way to make a lot of money is to not lose any money,
Well, that makes
not
sense.
to lose your principal. Rule number two, see rule number one. This shows the magnitude and the impact of a big, significant drop. The NASDAQ is not back to where it was. So if you had invested 100% of your money on March 10th of 2000, you still haven't gotten back to where you were 15 years later.
Yeah, I see what you're saying there. Yeah.
So this really emphasizes the importance of really doing things with a purpose and doing what you can to protect the downside more so than worrying about trying to keep up with the Joneses and capture the full upside.
Well, that's true. You have to narrow your focus to you personally, not worry about the neighbors, like you're saying.
Correct. And then we're going to maybe get into another story that really focuses on that in a little while. But I just thought this was a pretty interesting reading because there is so much talk, and we always talk about how it's just sensationalized media that is driving a lot of this and causing knee-jerk reactions and overreactions. And you need to understand, yes, we're hitting all-time highs and we're hitting S&P 500 going over 2,000. Wow. It's just a nice round number. It means nothing.
Sure.
So just like if NASDAQ were to go over 5,000 again soon, guess what? That's going to be the top story. First time since 2000, it's over 5,000.
They'll find something to talk about. It's all sensationalized now, it seems like, anyway.
Absolutely.
So.
Well, it has to be because the news is so readily available.
Yeah.
They have to create news where there is none just so they have something to talk about.
And so they can pay their bills.
That's right. Because the more you hype the market, the more you're going to use the investments that are being advertised on the show that they're providing the story. So that's enough of my little soapbox there on just don't lose money.
I like it. I like that strategy.
And another story here, Home Depot. Did you hear about this?
Maybe.
Another credit breach.
Oh, I did. All I saw
credit card
was
breach.
the little ticker that says just what you just said, Home Depot possible breach.
Looks like it's a massive breach of credit card data, possibly bigger than Target,
All right.
and maybe possibly by a significant amount. Looking at possibly 60 million credit card numbers have been stolen.
It just seems like it's on the rise,
Right.
all this financial fraud and everything else with the credit cards, everything else. You create these technologies to make things easier for people, but you're making it easier for the bad guys too.
It's absolutely it. And Home Depot is saying you're not going to be held liable if one of your cards was hacked in this, and there's fraudulent charges. And I mean, there's an article that discussed in detail that I was reading earlier, and basically it says the truth is no payment system is unhackable. We were just talking about that prior to the show as well. Apple has always touted, we don't get viruses. We're not hackable
That's right.
yet. Jared, we talked last week. It looks like all
cloud.
of these celebrity photos got hacked on the iCloud, which is Apple's security
It's their
bulletproof
online storage site. Exactly. Right. So
it's just sooner or later it comes back around, and the reality is if the hackers want something, they will be able to break into it. It might take them a while, but they're going to break in.
yeah, basically
So you
enough
need to
time and
understand
money.
it. Right.
And just like every time, you never think it's going to happen to you, but I get a phone call a week ago, and it's from my bank saying, "Did you just charge $250 twice up in L.A. to?" I'm like, "No." And so there you go. They got my credit card number, and fortunately caught it right away. But you just never think it's going to happen to you, and then it does.
Well, and you never know where it's coming from. Like we talked about last week, if you happen to go out with a group of people, give your credit card to the bartender for the bar tab, that card's sitting there for half an hour, 2 hours, depending on how long the group's together. That's a lot of time for pen and paper.
Plus, if someone's really smart, they'll do it in increments that are small, 1975, something really basic. That a lot of people have auto payments on their credit cards and stuff. So you see that figure doesn't look like anything out of the norm, and then it could go on for months, and then you realize, oh, wait a second, what is this account to, or what is this? This is not a payment of mine. So again, you got to really be on your game as far as checking your accounts and everything else to make sure this doesn't happen.
According to all the credit experts, the only solution is to check your statements regularly, meaning go online, take a look, make sure there's not, like you said, a couple charges for $250. Your credit card, that's not an obscene amount. You're lucky they contacted you because it could have been 20 or 30 of those in that
exactly.
range.
You never know.
Mm-hmm. And over a long period of time, like you said, the $19.95, who's going to notice that on a credit card statement that's maybe $1,000 or $2,000? A $20 charge isn't going to put up a red flag, but spread that out over a long period of time, that starts adding up to real money very quickly.
Certainly.
So even though it sounds like a hassle, it's worth it. Just at least once a month, but probably even more frequently than that. Try once a week, once every other week. Just take a look at your credit card statement online and make sure all the charges look right.
Exactly. So
that's our advice. We're trying to make you smarter and make you protect yourself as much as possible. Jarod, do you guys watch TV?
Yeah.
Lot? Little?
Every so often at night, and I rarely watch it live anymore.
Okay.
Just with the work schedule and
that's
everything.
That's what I'm getting with this. How about you, Chris?
Sure, yeah, but not same as Jarod, just not very much live.
Unless it's sports.
Yeah, you got to watch your football.
Sports. But even that, there's delays and replays, so you don't even have to watch sports live as much. It just seems that
you got to watch it live. Otherwise, it's just not the same.
It's just not the same.
Yeah.
You can't yell at the TV and throw things as well.
You can't yell at TV one, but even if you try to put yourself in a little globe so you don't hear the score till later, it's so hard nowadays.
It's always
your phone, your friends,
below too.
Everything. Yeah.
Yes. Well, my wife and I, we decided, because we rarely watched TV even before we had kids, but we decided it's a waste of money, save $100 a month, not paying for cable. And we did away with it shortly before we had kids. And the interesting thing is we don't miss it at all. Where before that, typically I would just have it on as background noise. So probably we're saving in multiple ways. Energy bills, because the TV's not just on playing to the couch while we're doing things around the house.
Sure.
But interesting study, baby boomers and television, they all kind of came together, and they've ridden along their whole lives.
Oh, yeah.
But there's some concern now that there is that wave of change. Like you're talking about, you rarely watch live TV with the exception of sports. As the baby boomer generation is aging, live TV seems to be getting phased out. The numbers are shrinking, and the average age of the live TV watchers is growing. And that definitely is a trend showing that TV viewership in younger people is going to the Netflix because
what's going on online?
Right, online streaming. This research doesn't even count who's watching on their tablets and their phones and all the different streaming effects, but just the regular TV and their normal studies. And it's pretty interesting. It makes a lot of sense because
no, it's not surprising at all.
Most people I know now are getting the Netflix, the Hulus, and things like that, and it is much more convenient. Because you can watch it at your time. You don't have to put aside, okay, it's 8:30 on Thursday night. This show's on. We got to all sit down and watch it. Even counting DVR viewing, it's shrinking, and it's pretty wild to watch. And I think it's more convenient. The little bit from what we've seen is on Netflix, you can go watch an entire series in a very short amount of time, rather than every week waiting at 8:30 on Thursday night and watching that show and then waiting for the next week. You can wait till the season's over, watch the whole season in a short period of time.
Sometimes it's fun though.
Yeah,
it's kind of like watching live sports. Same thing.
Yeah, I believe you. We don't do it like I said, but I understand. My parents, they're in that baby boomer generation. Their TV's on pretty much around the clock.
Sure, but like you said, they came up together.
Right, absolutely. It's one of their best friends.
So sure.
Can't live without it. So, well, okay. Well, stick around. When we come back, we will discuss with Jarod, who is step 3 of the life plan. We always talk about estate planning and different things you can do as different life events take place. We're going to take it the other way and discuss prenups.
All right.
And how secure those may be. Stick around. It's your lunch hour, Mr. Credit, where we're guaranteed to make you smarter than everyone else.
If you would like free advice from Mr. Credit, just call or text 619-786-7853. That's 619-786-7853.
Welcome back to the Lunch Hour with Mr. Credit. And today, it's Turnaround Tuesday on ESPN Radio 1700.
Welcome back. It is your lunch hour. My name is Dan Osgood, sitting in for Mr. Credit. In studio with me today, we've got Jarod Cauzza with Neil Diamond Downtown. Fantastic law firm. Been around, what'd you say, just had 50th year?
50 years, yes, sir.
Wow. And that was a big bash, I suppose.
We had some attorneys up and some old employees come back to visit the firm, so it was nice.
Fun.
Nothing
like,
huge,
like
though.
a homecoming reunion kind of event.
Kind of, yeah.
Nice.
It was fun. It was nice to see a trip down memory lane.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Estate planning. We talk about this all the time. The life plan that Mr. Credit has put together. Steps 1 and 2 are kind of getting a total picture of what your finances look like and starting to budget and plan those out. Step 3 is where Jarod comes in, and that is put it in writing.
You bet.
We
Nowadays,
talk about this all the time, how important it is to put what you want to happen in writing so that the likelihood of those things happening increasing, and if you do it right, guaranteeing that those take place.
Yeah, for the most part. Again, it's all about one, peace of mind. You have it down in writing. It's something that you can rely upon in our system. The old days, you should be handshake agreements and everything, and you can still do that in some places, but for the most part, as a lawyer, I cannot recommend that all the time. You have to, do your P's and Q's.
Hard to prove that there was a handshake that ever took place.
It is. It is hard. It becomes he said, she said, and a lot of cases do come down to that ultimately. But again, if you have a tangible document to refer to, that really provides a lot of clout in your favor.
Excellent. And we talk about the putting it in writing, and you always hear about this. This is something that you hear with the high-profile people, ultra high net worth individuals, but a prenup.
You bet.
And it isn't necessarily just for these ultra wealthy people. There are many other factors that could cause you to want to have a prenup going into a relationship.
There are a multitude of factors. Like you say, you only hear about them usually with high net worth individuals or second marriage people. You see a lot of this because either someone got burned during the first marriage, or it may not be that anyone got burned. It's just that they've went through the divorce process before and don't want to have to do it again and just want to plan. So you see those two classes of people you see involved with mainly, but I mean they're available to anyone as long as you're going to get married. You're over 18, other standard contract requirements under the law, and sometimes they're a good thing because it just puts the financial discussion out in front between expected spouses. Right. Oftentimes you'd think everything is full disclosure, but people sometimes aren't comfortable talking about their financial situation, whether it be assets or often more times debts and liabilities. But at the same time, it just puts it out in front, and there's no surprises if you have a well-crafted agreement.
That's a good point. You can carve out those debts so that it isn't a lingering issue for a former spouse.
And that is the main thing with the prenup is the largest, I guess, benefit of a prenup that you can do is you can address how property is acquired during the marriage, how it's characterized, separate versus community property, as well as assignment of property and liabilities upon dissolution, if in fact there would be one in the future.
And are there any issues in like California being a community property state? If you have a prenup, are there any extra hoops you have to jump through?
Not so much
of the rules?
Because of the passage of the California, I think it's the Uniform Prenuptial Agreement Act.
Yep.
It pretty much lays it out. There's no really extra hoops. What you can do is determine how your community property is to be allocated during your marriage. The default rule is half and half.
Okay.
If I married, my earnings from my job, half belong to my wife, half are mine. Same with hers. You can change that in a prenuptial agreement. You can say, look, anything that I bring home from my job is my separate property. Mm-hmm. If I choose to use it to the benefit of the community, that's my choice, but you have no present rights to it. That's very common in a prenup.
Okay. Well, let's take this and turn it on its head.
Sure.
How safe is a prenup? What are the chances that you put this prenup in place, you end up going down the divorce road?
Sure.
How hard is it for someone to say, oh, that's invalid?
Well,
I'm still entitled to my 50%.
It's pretty much like any other contract in that there's no special provisions that would make a prenup harder to enforce than a regular contract. There are a couple, and one, the most important one is advice by independent counsel. there's a lot of situations where the spouse may, or at this point, fiance will sign an agreement without having another attorney look over the contract. And in those cases, there's heavy scrutiny on the party that was represented by an attorney if in fact later you're litigating whether or not this agreement was valid. What you're talking about, duress and coercion, forcing someone to sign a contract they don't necessarily want to. Another defense in this realm would be the defense of unconscionability. What that means basically is that a contract is so one-sided that the other party would not have signed it but for some foul play.
And we're seeing that exact thing in what's turning into a pretty public divorce battle between a hedge fund billionaire, Ken Griffin, and his wife of 10 years, where basically the way it's spelled out is his estate is estimated at $5 billion, and she's entitled to 1% of that, which it's still not chump change because it's such a big amount. She's going to get $50 million, but definitely it's very skewed in that example.
And again, not knowing anything about the case, it would be very fact-driven. And if this was a California case, for example, one of the facts that we talk about, and I talk about the independent counsel, is under the California Act, someone who's not represented by counsel has to be given at least 7-day cooling-off period from the presentation of the agreement and advice that they should talk to an attorney before they can actually sign the agreement.
Okay.
If that 7 days is not upheld, it doesn't mean that automatically that the agreement's invalid, but if you can show that there was a shorter time frame than that 7 days and they were not represented by counsel or advised to represent or to seek counsel, it's going to be very hard to enforce that agreement because the courts will look at that as a sign of duress or coercion to sign this. In
this case, she signed it or was presented it 3 days prior to their wedding.
Well, the date prior to their wedding, many people think that that's be all end all. If I have to sign it on the day of the wedding, it means the agreement's invalid. That's not so. But if you're arguing coercion, duress, and you say, look, we're at the wedding, we have all these guests here. What you're not going to marry me if I don't sign this thing? Okay, sign it. I mean, that's how I'd play it if I were a trial attorney, for the jury. You put it that way. So again, the fact that it's signed so close to the wedding date is not a automatic fail, for lack of a better term, but it is to be be in that 7-day
Sure, not going to help his argument that everything was
certainly
done
not.
correctly.
Come on, no way. That's a bad fact for sure. So again, but by and large, the premarital agreement, if drafted appropriately and everything's above board, very safe document and can be beneficial to both spouses. The other area I will note before we shift gears here is that another area where you find yourself with an agreement that can't be enforced is when you're trying to, hide assets, hide your failure to disclose your finances and debts. I mean, anytime you cover up or lie about something, it's always worse for you when it comes to civil matters, put it that way.
In any form. I've seen that before in cases where there's a divorce that has already taken place and there's alimony involved, and whoever's paying the alimony starts tweaking their accounting and showing far less either in assets or income, so they can then go back to the court and say, I can't afford to pay this anymore. We need to get this adjusted.
Yeah, definitely. And again, that's an area, like I said, that's why I wanted to mention that area as well if we're talking about defenses to these type of agreements. And the other thing I will note about premarital agreements is under California law, you cannot hash out an agreement with respect to child support. That is something where the state has a vested interest, at least the legislature has told us so, and as such, you cannot contract around your child support obligations, if any, if the marriage does yield children.
Okay. And then that's another thing where they're in this case with Griffin, that they're saying that she's using the kids as a pawn to try to get more.
I mean, every
more revenue,
good or bad legal movie you've ever seen with a divorce, the kids are always the pawns. So I mean, that's not totally fiction.
Yeah, and that's ultimately the people who end up losing the most is the kids that are involved in those situations. Where it becomes just an argument over a little bit of money here and there. He said, she said, and it's the poor kids that just get pulled back and forth.
No, you're right. You hit it on the head.
That's very, very unfortunate. Well, that is Jarod Cauzza that we're talking to about prenup. So if you're in a position where you think you may want a prenup, Jarod, is that something you can handle for someone? Is that part of what you do?
Yeah, our firm, we still do offer drafting premarital agreements. The last one I did was earlier this year. So, yeah.
Okay, great. You can reach out to him at Neil Diamont, 619-238-1712. Once again, that's 619-238-1712. And also remember, he is the estate planning to the star. So all your estate planning needs, contact Jarod, get your free consultation, get down and see him. It's an outstanding law firm. They'll look out for your best interest. And stick around. When we come back, we are going to be speaking with Chris Megison.
Yes.
With Solutions for Change, a great organization doing everything he can to help solve family homelessness. We'll be right back. You're listening to Your Lunch Hour, Mr. Credit, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else.
If you would like free advice from Mr. Credit, just call or text 619-786-7853. That's 619-786-7853.
Welcome back to the Lunch Hour with Mr. Credit. And today, it's Turnaround Tuesday on ESPN Radio 1700.
Welcome back. It is Your Lunch Hour. My name is Dan Osgood. Jarod Cauzza in studio with us today, as usual. And today we have a special guest, Chris Megison, who is the founder and CEO of Solutions for Change, which is an outstanding organization that has a business model to permanently solve family homelessness in changing to actually get families off the street and transition them back into society as responsible working citizens. Tell me a little bit about that, Chris.
Well, it's something that I've been working on since I got out of the Marine Corps 22 years ago. I got out after the first Gulf War. Didn't plan on it. I was going for 20. I was a lifer, and after we delivered the definition of shock and awe to Saddam Hussein, we're back, and the Marines here kind of are hard-on neighborhoods. When you get back from wars, we're trying to we ship all these kids half a world away. And anyway, the CEO wanted somebody to go out and work in the community one weekend. And I wish I could say I volunteered, but I didn't. I went up against 3 other Marines in a push-up contest and lost. And so that weekend I'm out, serving a bowl of soup to a homeless guy named Wolfman. They told me to watch out for this guy. And that was my first introduction to really what is going on with this problem of homelessness. There's a lot of homeless people up here in Vista and North County, and so I started taking a look at it, and the more I looked, the more I saw that there was a real well-meaning system of people that are out there trying to help the homeless. But what they were really doing, in my estimation, was underwriting the lifestyle of folks that were stuck in this very destructive kind of situation. And so I made a decision to get out of the Corps. It was a big decision for me, but ever since then we're a group of social entrepreneurs. We're attacking the problem more from the private sector and less from a government-based solution. I think personally, we launched the war on poverty 50 years ago. We spent $15 trillion on this war, and we're getting, as the Marines would say, we're getting our bottoms handed to us. We would use another way of describing that, but we really are. And so what we've done is we put the power of social enterprise right in the middle of this idea of solving it. And the private sector is really lit up about it. We've got a lot of businesses that are supporting us, and we're solving it. We're solving it big time, because what at the core of it is accountability, and it's get up, suit up, and show up, and you go to work. You do this thing called work. And people come to us unemployed and really hurting, but we get them back in the workforce, and we change their lives.
That is amazing. And you touched on something that we talk about periodically of the problem of government intervention. If you look at the government, if they were a business, they'd be bankrupt because they can't seem to do anything well. And this is another example where they're just spending money and almost making it easy to just not even try to change your situation, where this private enterprise, you're able to come in and retool these people and make them feel great about themselves.
Absolutely.
Give them some self-esteem back.
Dan, they don't want to be enabled.
Right.
They don't want to languish in shelters and out there getting handouts. But if that's what they get when they walk into a door somewhere, that's a lot of times what will happen. And so, I think we've become the nation of the great enabler. Not intentionally. We have great, compassionate people. We want to solve these problems, but I call it the containment model, because instead of solving the problem, what we're doing is containing it, and we're managing the symptoms of it versus getting to the root and solving it. And what is the root? It's more education. It's work ethic development. We spend a lot of time just talking about work ethic. Like, what does that look like? We get up, we suit up, we show up, and we go to work, and then we teach people how to do that. And so we got big problems, as you guys I'm sure have talked about. But it's not getting any better, Dan. It's just getting worse.
It sounds like you're bringing some of the Marine Corps principles to this problem, which is, like you said, get up, suit up, and get to work.
Exactly, and it's Jarod. What do you think about that? I saw your wheels turning. You're like, hey,
you're talking about accountability earlier, and what I'm enjoying listening to you talk about this is the accountability on your end as the facilitator, the private entity. You have a vested interest. If this doesn't work for you all, you guys don't profit or anything else, the private aspect of this. Whereas if the government's programs, if they don't profit, oh well, we'll just print more money and make everything go worse. So I mean, I like it's a collaborative effort in that sense.
Yeah.
It's not a vertical hierarchy. It's more, you're more on the same level almost, because you both have a vested interest, these facilitators and the homeless participants in the program, to both succeed at the same time. And when there's a team effort like that, it really increases your chances of success, I think. And that's what I was just wanted to say, that I'm glad to hear that.
Big time. And, in the private sector, if you're an entrepreneur, you run your business, you got to figure out what the root cause is. So you're going to solve that problem, because if you don't, you're going to be out of business. So you're always looking at how can I add more value? What can I do to provide a better service or product to my customer? And here at Solutions for Change, what we figured out is that this problem is a solvable problem. It is solvable, but this is a design issue here, guys. So the rest of the government and the rest of a lot of communities around the country think that if we just throw more money, more people, more resources at this thing, it's going to be solved. But I love this sentence. Every community or every organization or company is perfectly designed to get the results they're getting. So you think about that. Every year, homelessness and poverty grows, yet we keep throwing the same design at it. So this is 100% a design problem, and we just keep throwing more, another bill, another billion, another 10 billion, and more money, more people, more resources, but it's a design problem. And as a Marine, if I was told to go and fight a battle, I wouldn't question the battle plan. I would just go and do it, right? That's what Marines do. But in this case, guys, we have to question the battle plan, what we're doing here. And if we don't question it enough, and that's why we're in this big problem.
What's the old saying? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result?
Exactly.
So that seems like what you're up against.
Yes.
But obviously you found a solution to solve some of these problems, rather than just keep kicking the can down the road expecting something to miraculously happen.
And that's right. I mean, I'm a big believer in social enterprise. And so what does that mean? Well, it means it's a business, but it's a business that does good. We engage the people that we help that work in the business. And we're producing, in this case, we've built the largest commercial aquaponics farming operation in Southern California, second largest in the state, one of the largest nonprofit aquaponics operations. And what's aquaponics? It's just a different way of farming. It takes hydroponics and aquaculture. It combines it. It saves 95% the water usage compared to traditional farming, because it's all recirculating. It's soilless. It doesn't use pesticides or chemicals, so there's no runoff, so it's great for the environment. And we're getting our people up every day, and they're going to this farm and growing some of the, my people tell me, don't say it's top 1% produce, because you don't know that for sure. Yeah. But it's great. It's certified organic produce. And then we're selling this stuff to the school district and to other folks in the North County community, and they're paying us good money for this great stuff, and we're growing a ton of it. And so we're taking that revenue and we're putting it back into the nonprofit organization here, the community, to help solve family homelessness. And this is big, because these kids that are on the trajectory, if we don't intervene now, they're going to grow up and they're going to be the guys that you step over on your way into Petco Park 15 years from now. Right. And we've got to intervene here. These are kids. We've got to get them out of this mindset of, I'm going to stand in a line someplace to get fed, or where's my check. this isn't the way America was created. And so we're excited, and so is the community. We have some big business leaders up in North County supporting our efforts.
And you also have a big event coming up, the Solutions Farms. Is that what you were?
Yeah, the Solutions Farms is our social enterprise. But the big event, for the last 3 years, we've gotten some interesting speakers that have really got excited about us. And in 3 weeks, we have Dr. Ben Carson coming to La Costa Resort and Spa, and Ben's going to keynote. Last year, it was First Lady Laura Bush, or former First Lady Laura Bush. The year before that was Mayor Rudy Giuliani, and the first year that we were fortunate enough to get these world leaders to come in was Condoleezza Rice. So this is our 4th consecutive year of really moving hearts and minds away from this idea of just containing the problem and trying to solve it. And we're really excited about Dr. Ben Carson coming in.
Just showing who has spoken speaks volumes about the cause, and you're getting the right people behind this.
Really exciting. It's not me making those phone calls to those folks. These are...
You can take credit.
This is, our biggest champion, very well-known, amazing business leader in San Diego County and really in North America, Mark King, CEO of TaylorMade Golf, who was recently promoted to Adidas North America president. He got excited about our cause a few years ago and committed a very significant donation to the organization. But he's the leader of our team, our leadership team. He's moved a lot of people around this thing. And the idea is Mark just looks at it and says, this just common sense, common business sense, makes good sense. This thing is solvable. Let's go, guys. And he's rallied a lot of people. He's a guy, one of the guys that are helping to get these speakers come in and help us.
That is great. And is this an event that's open to anyone, or?
It is. We set the goal at 800 tickets, 800 people in that ballroom, and we just hit over 700. So we are going to sell. We sell out every year. Normally it's like just a couple days before the event, and we saw this thing's going to sell out, I'd say, within the next week or so.
What's the easiest way for someone to try to get a ticket?
Just go to solutionsforchange.org, and right on you'll see Dr. Ben Carson's image there, and click on that. Take you right to a secure website that will get you the tickets, and we hope that you join us. It's going to be an amazing night.
And when is that?
September 27th, just in a few weeks.
Yep. Okay, that's coming up very quickly. So your time is limited, and sounds like there's very limited tickets left. So solutionsforchange.org.
Yes.
Go there, check it out. This is fantastic, amazing work that Chris has put together, and a really great cause. It is definitely a solution, not a patch by any means.
No,
that's right.
So when we come back, we may continue talking with Chris a little more about this, and then we've got a couple other topics that we guarantee will help make you smarter than everyone else. It's your lunch hour, ESPN 1700. Guaranteeing to make you smarter than everyone else.
If you would like free advice from Mr. Credit, just call or text 619-786-7853. That's 619-786-7853.
Welcome back to the Lunch Hour with Mr. Credit. And today, it's Turnaround Tuesday on ESPN Radio 1700.
Welcome back. It is your Lunch Hour. I'm Dan Osgood. In studio with me today, we've got Jarod Cauzza and Chris Megison, who is the founder and CEO of Solutions for Change. We've been talking about his great cause. Just a very quick market check. Looks like the Dow's down about 100, S&P's down about 13, NASDAQ's down about 38, which increases the likelihood we're not going to see the all-time high get hit on the NASDAQ anytime soon.
No.
So it could be another multiple years before you get back to just where you were back in 2000. Let's get back to Chris. This is such a great cause and great work that he's doing here. Solutions for Change, you founded it in 1999. And it looks like you have helped already more than 700 families, which means over 1,400 children, to more successful, productive lives through your process of just getting them up to speed, re-educating them, and getting them in the mindset of you get up, you put your boots on, you go to work, rather than you roll over, get up on the sidewalk, and walk to the food kitchen.
Yeah, and all of us can work. I mean, if you got two feet and a couple hands and your lungs are working, then go to work. And so when people come to us, obviously they don't have any income, they don't have jobs most of the time. So what we say is we'll provide you this place to live and what you need, but tomorrow morning you're going to get up at 5:30 in the morning, and we got a job for you. And so we give them the job initially, which will be one of our social enterprises, but very soon they're full-time employed. So you're going to get your own job here soon, but in the meantime, there's going to be an exchange. Like you're going to work.
Definitely.
And what we're really doing is the work ethic training and all that. But, you mentioned the over 700 families, about 750 families now, almost 1,500 kids that we've let out of this thing. And we have our model is called the Solutions University, 1,000 days to a permanent solution. So when people deal with homelessness, they're doing it like in 3-month programs. We're going to do a 3-month winter shelter or something, and that's going to solve it.
Right. That's the solution. That's just a Band-Aid.
That's just a Band-Aid. And so we figured out early on that this 3-year process, about 1,000 days, is what it takes for folks that we're talking about third-generation welfare folks, people that have got serious problems. You're not going to solve that in a 3-month program or even a 6-month program. But you guys, what I'm excited about for a lot of different reasons, because we're talking a lot of human lives. But we did a study a few years ago, and we showed a $35 million cost savings to the public, because those people, when they got to us, what were they doing? They were on food stamps. They were on welfare. They were on other entitlements, right? Well, we got them off that. And so we started just tracking that and how much are we saving the public? So that's $35 million that we can use for other things like fire and police and I guess fixing our potholes and things like that. But if we did that in more communities here, we could turn the ship here.
Now, is there an idea of taking this? This is just San Diego based, correct?
Yeah, San Diego based.
So you've helped 750 families here in San Diego, 1,500 kids just in San Diego. Is this something you see going, I don't know necessarily globally, but at least nationwide? Yeah,
our leadership team. So we've attracted a lot of people that are smarter than me, which I love. Like outperformers, man. I got to get people that can outperform me, and that's not hard. But so we got a lot of really talented folks around us, and they put together a plan to get this into other communities that want it. So, if you don't want it, if you want to keep doing the same thing and getting the same results, go for it. But if you want to solve this problem and save millions of dollars while getting more money into your economy, then Solutions for Change might be the answer for you.
So this isn't a good solution for, say, Washington, where they survive on Band-Aids. That is their solution, is just put additional Band-Aids on top of it. But it sounds like this is a fantastic, every urban area can use this.
We think so.
Certainly. And the focus, I think, that Chris said is great, is, this is a 3-year commitment.
Right.
And we're talking about putting families into homes that they own, having a sustainable job for one or both of the spouses or families or whoever's part of the program. We're not just talking about, okay, you're not collecting a welfare check or food stamps for 2 months. Right. Well, we'll contribute that to the stat line. That person's off welfare. Now we can put that to the media. No, we're talking about real solutions.
The perfect example of how that works in another aspect, when the long-term unemployment benefits dried up, guess what? The unemployment numbers started to improve. How's that work?
Exactly.
Wow. And what you're doing is exactly that, without all the government bureaucracy behind it. So you can make it work that much easier.
People, the spirit of the folks that we deal with, the people that we help, if you dry up that stuff, it's amazing what people will do.
Right.
If you stop enabling it and stop underwriting it, it's just absolutely amazing. And that's what we do now. There's got to be an environment of hope. I say hope, opportunity, compassion, and accountability. Those are the things that we've got to bring together. And if you bring those things together in an environment that lifts them up, I'm not going to do it for them, but I will create that environment where it's possible for them to change. They do it. And what's cool is a lot of those folks that we've helped, our alum, they come back, they get involved with what we're doing. So the new people see, hey, you know what?
Like the success story.
This can happen for me and my family.
Yeah, it has to be, because I can tell just from talking about how passionate you are and how much you truly believe in this. these people you're helping, as soon as they realize that has to be just the final, I'm going to go through this and this is going to work for me, kind of that aha moment for them.
Exactly. It's a great thing to be part of, Dan and Jarod. I mean, I invite you guys to come up and see it firsthand. It's it'll blow your socks off when you see it. You'll be like, whoa, this is what really we should be doing here as Americans.
I'm in.
You're in. It's right up in your neighborhood.
North County.
Yeah, he lives right around the corner, so it's easy for him to say he's in here.
Perfect. And that, again, if anyone wants to either get involved or go to your big event, solutionsforchange.org.
Solutionsforchange.org, and you can go to our farm website there if that tickles your fancy. And you know, there's a lot that you can find out about what we're doing there. And I encourage you to, once you do, come see us. Come see it for yourself, because there's nothing like seeing it, and you see the people that their lives are changing. And, you know, we're literally creating new pathways for futures for these kids. That's one thing for the adults, right? But we're intervening and creating entirely new futures for these kids. That's exciting. You get to meet some of those folks and see what we're doing. So I encourage you to come see for yourself.
That is outstanding. I will definitely be looking into this much further.
Great.
Thank you very much for joining us today.
You.
This was tremendous information in what you're doing. It speaks volumes.
Thank you, Dan. Thanks, Jarod.
Outstanding. Well, that pretty much does it for us today. Jarod, thank you very much again.
Thanks for having me again.
Great info. You're hopefully going to save people millions of dollars in divorce settlements.
Yeah, exactly. I have to tip my hat to Chris, though. I'm just a pleasure to be here with him, listening to his cause. So
yeah, definitely the star of the show. If we had a prize to give out, you get it today, Chris. Thanks again. That is solutionsforchange.org. Go check it out. Fantastic work. You have been listening to Your Lunch Hour, Mr. Credit, ESPN 1700, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else. Enjoy the rest of your day. Talk to you next week.
If you would like to contact Mr. Credit or access any free offers mentioned on the show, just go to mrcredit.org. That's mrcredit.org.